Welcome to the final episode of my Calamity mod playthrough. In the last episode, we defeated Providence, one of the first post-Moonlord bosses, which gave us access to new items and new bosses. I don't think there's much else to say, so without further ado, let's get into the video. After defeating Providence, for the upcoming bosses, I decided I needed to upgrade my armor, and I needed to make the Terraria armor. The Terraria armor is made from divine geodes, which drop from Providence, and yelly bloom ore, which means more mining. However, when I got home, I realized I didn't have enough divine geodes, which means I could only make the Terraria wings, and decided to go fight Providence a little more. Once I had enough materials for the Terraria armor, I decided it was time to start fighting some bosses. So I decided to fight Stormweaver. Next up is Cygnus. And finally, the Ceaseless Void. The reason why I rushed these three bosses is because they're really just smaller bosses to fight one really cool, bigger boss. I forgot to mention this, but after defeating the Stormweaver, I was able to make a weapon called the Sea Dragon, which is a really good weapon for post-Moonlord. The next boss I fought was Poltergeist. With Poltergeist defeated, I can now make a flamethrower called Halley's Inferno, which is an extremely good weapon for post-Moonlord. With this newfound power, it was time to fight the hardest boss so far, the Devourer of Gods. This boss flies around freely, and dare I say it, may be faster than Ashram Duas, and also, it can only be damaged on its head and tail. However, when you get him down to about half health, you have to fight the three smaller bosses you needed to fight to spawn him: Ceaseless Void, Stormweaver, and Cygnus. And with those bosses now defeated, it's time to fight the real form of the Devourer of Gods. After defeating the Devourer, I made a new crafting station called the Cosmic Anvil, and this is where I'm going to craft most of the post-Moonlord weapons and other items that I'm going to make. Now that the Devourer was defeated, I can now get new drops from the Frost Moon, Pumpkin Moon, and Solar Eclipse events. Before I could fight any harder bosses, I decided I needed to really improve my weapon because my DPS was very much lacking. This led to me having to fight a boss called the Old Duke to get a weapon called the Fetid Emesis. After getting this weapon, however, I immediately upgraded it to a weapon called the SD-FMG, which is an incredible weapon for where I am right now. After making full Godslayer armor and improving some of my accessories, I was ready to fight my favorite boss in the game, Jungle Dragon Yaron. However, once you get Yaron to half health, he will enrage, and his attacks move much faster and do much more damage. After defeating Yaron, a message pops up in chat that says a godly aura has blessed the world's caverns. This means that you can now find auric ore in the earth. After mining some of the ore, I decided to start the grind to craft the auric Tesla armor, which is the best armor you can get before defeating the final boss. Once I finished crafting the armor, I also crafted a weapon called the minigun, and it's kinda good. After getting this weapon, I decided to start the extremely long process of spawning the Exomechs. I'll spare most of the details, but basically what it is you take power cells, put them into a computer so you can decrypt schematics so then you can make more components to add to the computer. After this long and winded process, I decided I should try and fight the Exomechs. It didn't go too well. After that sad attempt, I decided to create a weapon called Tyranny's End, which is a really good sniper rifle made from auric bars. Also, I made the God-slaying slugs to use as ammo. After this, I tried again and I was really close, but I failed when there was about 20,000 health left. So, I tried again, and this time I bested the Exomechs. Using the drops from the Exomechs, I created Draodon's Forge, which is basically a better version of the Cosmic Anvil. Also, I want to mention right now that in the point of the game when I was fighting the Exomechs, I thought they were the hardest boss in the game, but there is a boss that comes up later that gave me a lot more pain than I thought it would. Next up, I created the Photoviscerator, which is the best flamethrower in the game, and it would be one of my primary weapons fighting the next boss. After I gave the final boss a few attempts, I decided I needed a better weapon, so I made the Magnomaly Cannon. This weapon does a lot of damage and also homes when you shoot it, so I decided I should make this so I can focus more on dodging attacks rather than actually hitting shots on the boss. So, now that all my gear had come together, it was time to give the boss one more attempt. And with that, I had beaten Calamity mod Terraria. However, there still is stuff to do in this game, and I was gonna do something about defeating the Ildon worm, but I decided not to. I really enjoyed playing Calamity mod and making this series, even though it took this long. And I'd like to thank you for watching.